JayZ is done for. People are saying he's named in a lawsuit connected to Diddy, allegations involving a minor, and the internet is spinning. Because this isn't just about one case. It's about an entire system that might finally be collapsing. And Lori Harvey? She might know everything. Everybody thought they knew the full story about Lori Harvey and that viral brunch moment with JayZ back in 2019. The version everyone repeated, just a harmless photo, just fans overreacting, just Beyonce's fans doing what they do best, protecting the queen. That was it. That was the narrative. But now, new information is surfacing. Lawsuits are stacking up. Names are being named. And the whole story is twisting into something way darker than anyone imagined. Because what if that brunch wasn't random? What if Lori's presence around Diddy wasn't just a fling? What if the Beehive's reaction wasn't about jealousy, but about something Beyonce knew that we didn't? And what if JayZ's silence all these years wasn't about staying above the drama, but about staying protected? The internet is connecting dots. Timelines are being reviewed, and folks online are asking one question louder than ever. What did Beyonce know, and what is she waiting for? Let's break down what we actually know and what people are claiming. First, the legal side. TMZ and Fox News both reported that JayZ has been named in an amended civil lawsuit originally filed against Sean Diddy Combs. The accuser, identified as Jane Doe, alleges misconduct involving both men at an event that allegedly took place over 2 decades ago. She claims she was 13 at the time. JayZ responded publicly. His statement was sharp. He called the allegations heinous and false. He said if crimes against minors occurred, they should be handled criminally, not through civil court. His legal team is pushing back hard. But here's where it gets complicated. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Diddy is currently in custody facing multiple charges. Federal investigators reportedly seized materials during raids on his properties. Other lawsuits have been filed by women like Cassie Vandura and Adria English, who've made their own allegations about abuse, coercion, and manipulation within Diddy's circle. And now, people are asking, if Diddy's world was this dark, who else was in it? That's where Lori Harvey's name keeps resurfacing. Online detectives have been going deep. They're pulling up old photos, rewatching interviews, analyzing body language, and building timelines. And what they're finding is raising eyebrows. Lori dated Diddy publicly in 2019. She was seen at his events. She attended his parties. She was photographed with him multiple times. Then came that brunch photo with JayZ, and the internet exploded. Fans online started slowing down footage, zooming in on interactions, comparing dates, and they noticed something. Right after that photo went viral, Lori went silent. Her social media activity changed. She stopped posting certain people. She unfollowed Diddy quietly. Now, people are speculating. Was that silence because of fan backlash, or was it because something heavier was happening behind the scenes? Because here's the thing. The Beehive is loud, sure, but they're fans. They don't have legal teams. They don't have industry power. They don't have the ability to make someone's career disappear. So if Lori was really scared, who was she scared of? Folks online swear it wasn't just about Beyonce being jealous. They believe Beyonce was told something that made her move differently, something that made her team respond faster than usual. And that's when the theory gets darker. What if Lori wasn't just dating Diddy casually? What if she was placed in that circle intentionally? What if young women like her were used as status symbols, passed around socially, introduced strategically? These are allegations, not proven facts, but the pattern keeps repeating. Diddy's parties weren't just parties, according to multiple claims. They were curated. Every guest list was intentional. Access was the prize. And once you were inside, expectations shifted. Critics say women in these spaces were treated like currency, valued for proximity, judged by usefulness, and silenced through NDAs, legal pressure, or career threats. Lori, with her beauty, her connections, and her famous stepfather, fit that world perfectly. And that raises another uncomfortable question. Where was Steve Harvey in all this? Steve Harvey is known for being protective. He's vocal about family values. He's built a brand on giving advice about respect and boundaries. But when it comes to Lori and these allegations, silence. No public defense, no emotional statements, no firm denials. People are asking, did he know what Lori was being exposed to? Or did he trust the system too much to question it? Meanwhile, old clips are being re-examined. Usher once talked about living with Diddy as a teenager and seeing curious things he didn't understand. Justin Bieber spent time around much older industry figures while he was still a minor. Khloe Kardashian once joked about attending a wild party. At the time, these moments were brushed off. Now, context matters more than punchlines. And the internet is asking, if this many people saw something, why did no one say anything? Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking. JayZ and Diddy didn't just meet yesterday. These two came up together in the 1990s, back when the music industry was ruthless, back when survival wasn't just about talent, it was about leverage, about knowing the right people, about keeping the right secrets. Bad Boy Records wasn't just a label, it was an empire. And empires, according to critics, are built as much on silence as they are on success. JayZ was a hungry rapper from Brooklyn trying to break through. Diddy was already a mogul. They dominated together. They built brands together. They became untouchable together. But here's the thing. About being untouchable, it doesn't happen by accident. Think about it. The 1999 nightclub shooting. Diddy worked away. His artist took the fall. The stabbing case involving JayZ ended quietly with probation. Legal troubles that should have derailed careers somehow became footnotes. People ask if those were coincidences or signs of a system that protects certain players. Because in that world, surviving legal trouble didn't slow careers, it boosted them. The more they escaped consequences, the more legendary they appeared. Fast forward to today, Diddy is in custody. JayZ's name is being pulled into conversations he avoided for years, and the industry that protected both of them for decades is finally being questioned. But let's talk about what allegedly happened at those parties. According to multiple lawsuits, Diddy's events weren't celebrations. They were environments where silence was the entry fee, where young people were exposed to inappropriate situations, where access came with expectations. Claims alleged manipulation, intimidation, coercion, substance misuse, and abuse of power. These are allegations being contested in court, but the volume of accusations has forced public attention. And here's where Lori Harvey fits into the timeline. Lori entered that world young, beautiful, connected, ambitious. Her stepfather was one of the most famous men in entertainment. She had access to rooms most people never see. But access in that world comes with a price. Online speculation suggests Lori was frequently present at elite gatherings, that she was introduced to powerful men, that she was surrounded by influence that blurred boundaries. And then came that brunch. The public version says it was random, just a photo, just a moment. But people close to the industry say nothing in Diddy's world is accidental. Critics claim Lori's presence wasn't random, it was intentional, part of a pattern where young women were placed near power players. When that photo dropped, the beehive swarmed. Emojis flooded Lori's page, comments came fast, and Lori went silent almost instantly. Some now question whether that silence was about fan backlash or something much bigger happening behind the scenes. Because Beyonce doesn't fight loudly, she fights smart, in silence, in moves, in moments. And if Beyonce was told something about what Lori was exposed to, if she knew what kind of world her husband was still connected to, then her reaction wouldn't be about jealousy, it would be about protection, about legacy, about her children. And that's when the theory gets even darker. What if Beyonce has known for years? What if she's been calculating her next move this entire time? What if she's just been waiting for the right moment to drop the hammer? Because the Carters don't react emotionally. They calculate, they strategize, they rebuild narratives. And if JayZ's name stays tied to Diddy's legal troubles, if investigations expand, if more names surface, then insiders believe Beyonce has already mapped out every possible outcome. This wouldn't just shake a marriage, it would threaten an empire. And when queens move, everything burns. But here's the part that really hits different. The one who got caught up in the middle of all this, allegedly, was a 13-year-old girl. Not a celebrity, not someone chasing fame, just a child. According to the lawsuit, she was at an event she shouldn't have been at, surrounded by adults she shouldn't have been around, exposed to situations no child should ever experience. And if the allegations are true, she's been carrying that trauma for over 20 years. That's somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody who had to grow up knowing what allegedly happened to her and watching the men accused of it become legends. The lawsuit claims she's suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, long-term emotional harm, and she's not the only one. Cassie Ventura spoke out. She filed a lawsuit detailing years of alleged abuse, control, and manipulation. She described being trapped in a cycle she couldn't escape. Adria English made similar claims. She alleged she was coerced into situations under the promise of career opportunities. These women told their stories and were immediately met with legal pressure, public doubt, intense scrutiny. Because that's how the system works. Power doesn't just defend itself, it pushes back hard. And that's why people are asking, if Lori Harvey was allegedly just one piece in that system, then who else was caught in it? How many young women were introduced to that world? How many were told it was normal? How many stayed quiet because they didn't think anyone would believe them? And how many are still silent today? Because the industry didn't just protect powerful men, it punished the people who spoke up. Want a deal? Stay quiet. Want to be cast again? Don't ask questions. And if you do speak up, history shows what can happen. Your credibility gets questioned, your motives get attacked, your story gets buried. That's messed up. And it's why this moment matters. Because for the first time in decades, the silence is breaking, the walls are closing in, and the people who built their empires on secrecy are finally being forced to answer questions. Let's go deeper into what's actually unfolding right now, because this story is moving fast. Legally speaking, what's happening is still a civil matter. That means the process will involve fact-finding, depositions, timelines, testimony. Civil court doesn't decide prison time, it decides liability. It decides whether harm can be proven and compensated. Some filings allege long-term emotional distress connected to events from years ago. Those claims, like all others, must be evaluated through evidence. But the timing is everything. Diddy is in custody. Federal investigators reportedly seized materials during raids. Multiple lawsuits have been filed, and now JayZ's name is being pulled into the conversation. His legal team is responding aggressively. They're calling the allegations false. They're demanding criminal prosecution if crimes occurred. They're framing this as an attempt at extortion. But critics are asking, why the defensive tone? Why the public statements? Why not just let the legal process play out quietly? Because that's how power usually operates, quietly, behind closed doors, through settlements and NDAs. But the fact that this is playing out publicly suggests something different is happening, and the internet is paying attention. Online detectives have been working overtime. They're comparing timelines, cross-referencing photos, analyzing social media activity. They've noticed that Lori Harvey's Instagram posts from 2019 show her at multiple events with Diddy. Then came the brunch photo with JayZ. Then came the silence. Fans swear something shifted. Her vibe changed. Her posts became more controlled. She distanced herself from certain people. And then there's Steve Harvey's silence. For someone who built a career on giving advice, on protecting family, on speaking boldly about values, his lack of response stands out. No interviews defending Lori, no statements clarifying the situation, no emotional defense of her stepdaughter. People are speculating. Did he know what Lori was being exposed to? Did he trust the wrong people? Or is he staying quiet because he knows more than he's saying? Meanwhile, Beyonce looms large over all of this. The woman who turned personal pain into cultural moments. The woman who rebuilt a public image through strategy, not chaos. People believe this time isn't about forgiveness. It's about timing. Beyonce has a legacy to protect, children watching, a career that doesn't need more damage. If these allegations gain traction, if JayZ's name stays tied to Diddy's legal troubles, if investigations expand, if more names surface, then insiders believe Beyonce has already mapped out every possible outcome. This wouldn't just shake a marriage, it would threaten an empire. And when queens move, everything burns. She didn't just address infidelity, she turned it into art, into power, into legacy. So while the public debates whether Lori Harvey is a victim, a bystander, or something else entirely, the bigger question keeps looming. What does Beyonce know? And more importantly, what is she waiting for? Because the Carters don't react emotionally, they calculate. And if Beyonce ever decides to drop the hammer, the whole world will feel it. People are openly questioning whether one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood history could be looming, not out of drama, but out of necessity. Because this isn't just about love or marriage anymore. This is about survival, about legacy, about her name. And Beyonce doesn't lose. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize how deep the connections go. Let's talk about the parties, the infamous white parties, the exclusive after-hours events, the stories that were once brushed off as exaggeration. Because if they weren't just celebrations, if they were environments where silence was enforced, then everything changes. According to multiple lawsuits, these events allegedly involved manipulation, intimidation, coercion. Claims that are being contested but taken seriously by investigators. Several individuals have alleged they were misled or pressured under professional settings under the promise of opportunity. Others say they were encouraged to stay quiet afterward. Again, these are allegations, not verdicts, but the patterns keep repeating. Public figures like Usher have previously spoken about being exposed to adult lifestyles at a very young age while living around Diddy. He described seeing curious things he didn't fully understand at the time. His words have taken on new weight as more stories surface. Justin Bieber's early years are also being re-examined. Old clips show him spending time around much older industry figures, joking about adult privileges while still a teenager. At the time, it was brushed off as celebrity culture. Now, people are asking harder questions. Even reality TV moments are being re-watched differently. When Khloe Kardashian once joked about attending a wild party, people laughed. Now, context matters more than punchlines. And then came the FBI raids. According to reporting, investigators seized items that raised serious questions. Authorities have not disclosed everything found, but what was publicly acknowledged was enough to shock the public. That leads to the biggest question of all. If that's what was found, what wasn't? And who's still protecting what hasn't been uncovered? Because this isn't just about celebrity gossip. It's about an industry that treated people like currency, where silence was survival, where power decided truth. Right now, that power is shifting. One giant has fallen, others are exposed. But the parties haven't stopped. The cameras still flash, the smiles still sell. So the real question isn't who knew, it's who's next. Because if Lori Harvey was allegedly just one name in a long list, then who's walking into that VIP section tonight? And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one incident. What we're seeing here is how an entire system operated for decades, how power protected itself, how silence was rewarded. The bigger conversation is about responsibility, about accountability, about what happens when influence is traded like currency. When you constantly surround yourself with people who can't say no, when you create environments where access is the ultimate prize, you're not just building a brand, you're creating conditions for abuse. JayZ's situation is a wild example, but it's also a warning for anybody with power in any industry. The more you normalize secrecy, the more you enforce silence, the more you protect bad behavior, the harder the fall when it finally comes. And it always comes, because the internet doesn't forget. Victims eventually speak, and systems built on fear eventually collapse. This isn't just about music. It's about Hollywood, corporate America, politics, anywhere power operates without oversight. The lesson here is simple. Accountability isn't optional anymore. Silence isn't protection. And legacy built on secrecy will always crumble. So while we watch this unfold, while we debate who knew what and when, the real question is what changes now? Because if nothing changes, if the same people stay in power, if the same systems keep running, then this was all just entertainment. And that would be the biggest tragedy of all. So, where does this leave us? Diddy is in custody. JayZ is fighting allegations. Lori Harvey's posts are gone, but the images remain. Steve Harvey is silent. Beyonce is watching. And the internet is asking one question louder than ever. What happens next? Because this chapter might be ending, but the story isn't over. The lawsuits are still moving, investigations are ongoing, and if Beyonce ever decides to drop the hammer, the whole world will feel it. People are openly speculating about divorce, about separation, about legacy protection, not because of gossip, but because of survival. Because when you're Beyonce, when you've built an empire, when your name means something, you don't just react, you strategize. And if she's been quiet this long, it's because she's calculating every move. So ask yourself, what is she waiting for? And who's really afraid of her knowing everything? Stay locked in because this story is about to get even crazier. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Beyonce knew? Do you think Lori was a victim or something else? Like the video, hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. I appreciate you for rocking with me. Stay safe out there. And remember, in this game, the most dangerous thing isn't the lie, it's the truth.